I'm John Hanna for CityTV.net in New York, and we have Dirk Dijk, Chief Equity Strategist at Zacks.com, joining us from Dayton, Ohio. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, or, well, semi-good. The
Right?
market doesn't seem to think it's all that good, but...
Yes. That's the thing. I was actually listening to the news last night, some of the other business news for the global markets, and the Asian market it was about 11 at night, and then I heard that the Asian market was like down already. So I was like, oh. Then we have this down.
Yeah, more problems in Europe, and, I mean, it really is an open question of whether the euro is going to even exist, 3 years from now. It's a pretty tortured situation over there, and unfortunately, if the currency might not exist as a common currency, that doesn't put a lot of faith in that, which means that the dollar ends up gaining strength, not because of the fundamentals are great here in the U.S., but because the fundamentals are even worse in Europe, which is kind of the anti-dollar. And anytime that the dollar goes up, the stock market, tends to go down, and for good reason, because we really need a weaker dollar to, resolve our trade deficit situation. And, if we were able to resolve our chronic trade deficit, that would do, an enormous amount of good to actually start solving the employment problem. And we had a pretty good reminder on Friday that unemployment is still the biggest problem we have. The biggest problem is not the deficit. If you cure the employment problem, people will go back to work. They'll start paying income taxes, and the deficit problem will be in much better shape. If you focus on the deficit problem, like cut, you make the unemployment problem worse. And, hopefully on Obama's speech on Thursday, he's going to, sort of realize that fact. But, I mean, we created 0 new jobs, according to the establishment survey. Now, the employment report is actually based on 2 separate surveys, one for establishments and one for households. And the unemployment number comes out of the household survey, but the jobs created number comes out of the establishment survey. The establishment survey is generally considered to be the more accurate of the 2, but I don't think you should disregard the household survey altogether. And it was, noticeably more upbeat than the establishment survey. It actually pointed to the gain of 331,000 new jobs. Now, on the other hand, in July, it pointed to a loss of jobs, not a gain. So, if you take one, you take this month as a more optimistic, you also have to realize that the previous month was more downbeat. And the problem remains in the government sector. We also got some pretty nasty downward revisions to the numbers for July. Instead of the original 117,000 jobs, it turns out it's only 85,000. And there was a lot more state and local jobs where we got the layoffs. The private sector jobs actually revised up for July slightly to 156,000 from 154,000. But, the private sector, instead of trying, I mean, it's not, creating, lots and lots of new jobs, but it is creating some, but it's running into this headwind of all the states and localities that are cutting teachers and firefighters and social workers and, all those sorts of people, which add to the unemployment problem. And, when person goes to Walmart, the cashier does not say, are you working for the state government or are you working for XYZ Corporation? They just want to know if you have the money in your pocket. And so these layoffs in the government sector are really quite problematic. If we create zero new jobs, obviously it would take forever to get back to the sort of job levels that we had before the Great Recession started. But even if you take sort of the average of the past 3 months, we're talking over a decade now before we get back to those sort of job levels. This is a very serious problem.
With regards to Obama's speech, what are you looking forward to here?
Well, what I would like to really hear is that we're going to start spending some money on infrastructure and putting people back to work. But it's really a question at this point of what can the government do to avoid making the situation worse, rather than having a lot of flexibility to actually substantially improve the situation. Now, maybe Obama is going to be able to rally enough support that he can push something through Congress. But given the theatrics of the past year or so, not something I would count on.
Dirk Van Dijk, Chief Equity Strategist at Zacks.com, joining us from Dayton, Ohio, and I'm John Hanna for CDTV.net in New York.